Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you. When judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you. 'Cause it's gonna come for you.
Making it for water, easy, see some for Charlie. Little boo for God's got him. And I'm gonna miss everybody out of roll and flow like I looked at a wild flag. And play for dust and they play too deep for beach side. Little legs I came to be. Tell me your feature deceased, would it please? Marry me by my grand way. You can't go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to heaven.
Back on Wrestling Network. Welcome back to the CrosUp, your weekly look back at the week that was in professional wrestling. This week, I will be running through the results and happenings from Raw on August the 17th to Collision on August the 22nd. Lockdown is tonight, but I will unfortunately have to cover that next week. Obviously, when these pay-per-views fall on a Sunday night, it's not a holiday weekend. It's kind of tough for me to cover before it has to go out the next day, obviously. So lockdown will be on next week. We'll see how, All In kind of works next weekend and all that kind of stuff, and Heat Wave. I'll try to get maybe at least one of those on next week's show as well. But again, we'll see kind of how it goes because we do have Heat Wave next Sunday in the afternoon while All In is also happening. So we'll see how that works out. Might probably just do it both on the following week, but again, we'll see. But again, we will start with Raw on August 17th. Stephanie Vaquer gets the show kicked off. She gets right to the point, calling out Liv Morgan for a fight. So Roxanne, Raquel, and Liv all come out. Liv mocks Becky Lynch for being worried about Liv mocking the women who came before her. Why should Morgan care about any of them? She brings up the beating she has given to Vaquer, who wants to fight despite being outnumbered. The Judgment Day girls get in the ring and take her down. But Vaquer sends Roxanne and Raquel to the floor. Super kick hits Liv, but the other two are back in to jump Vaquer again. Becky Lynch comes in for the save until she gets in a shoving match with Vaquer, and that lets Liv run Becky into the post, and Vaquer is laid out once again. So the Judgment Day stands tall. We then go to the Bloodline. They arrive at the building. Obviously, Solo Sikoa is with them at this point. He seems pretty reluctant to be there. Obviously, being beaten last week and kind of being forced to somewhat be associated with the Bloodline again. They run into LA Knight, who is obviously not happy, but they keep walking past him because Roman Reigns is waiting on the rest of them. We then have Javon Evans defeat JD McDonough. This match randomly got set up and started in the middle of a commercial, so I guess it pays to have adless Netflix because I do not, and I was very confused by this whole thing. But he wins via pinfall with the OG cutter. Javon does, of course. And then after the match, of course, Big Cass comes out and lays Javon out again, goes to leave, but Evans grabs a mic and says, no, and calls him back. He asks if that's all Big Cass has. So Cass comes back to the ring where Evans gets in a dive. Evans hammers away at him until Dom Mysterio jumps from behind and kind of posts him against the ring post. So Cass shows a little bit of ass this time, but Evans ultimately ends up laid out once again. We then have Rey Fenix defeat El Fiscal via pinfall with a Mexican muscle buster. This advances Phoenix to the semifinals of the Luchador tournament to see who will face Roman Reigns in Mexico City. Stephanie Vaquer says she still wants the women's title when Becky Lynch comes in. Vaquer tells her to stay away, but Lynch says she's always here when Vaquer is going for the title. So when the title is involved, Becky's always going to be around. Lyra then cuts a promo, says she can't believe she's not getting anything after taking Bayley out. It's all about Sol Ruca, who can't do anything impressive, but Valkyria could do all of them. Ruca isn't just surfing past her, and she is going to get her Women's Intercontinental Championship back. We then have a match between the two. Sol Ruca defeats Lyra Valkyria. She wins via pinfall with the Soul Snatcher. We then have the Usos come up to Jacob Fatu, with Jay bragging that he beat Solo Sikoa last week when Fatu couldn't last summer, obviously. We then have Austin Theory and Maxine Dupree. They're happy with how badly they've beaten the Alpha Academy lately. Braun Breaker is asked about Obafemi and says anything he has to say about Femi, he'll say face to face. With that, Braun Breaker goes to the ring and immediately calls out Oba. Instead, he gets Paul Heyman, who says he knows what is wise and what is unwise. One thing that is wise is to find out who the future of WWE is. Braun Breaker then says, how about you tell me how we're going to do that, Paul? This brings out Obafemi, who says Brock Lesnar was the future, and even he knew that the future is now. That would be Femi himself. If Breaker has a problem with that, do something about it. Breaker is ready to go, but Heyman says if Breaker takes a step forward towards Femi, he takes a permanent step away from Heyman. This is a publicly traded company, and you don't have this kind of fight for free. We promote this match to be the biggest it possibly can be, which is why Heyman has already gotten it signed for Sunday night's main event. Breaker goes to leave, and Heyman gives Femi a friendly handshake, leaving Breaker not sure what's going on, and Heyman just says that is good business. We then go to Dragon Lee. He is ready for El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., and obviously we get the rebuttal from Mr. Wagner Jr., and he is ready to win to honor his family. So that'll be our next tournament match in the Luchador tournament. And Dragon Lee is successful. He wins via pinfall with Operation Dragon, and that advances him to the next round of the Lucha tournament. And I believe he is facing Phoenix, and Penta will be facing La Parca, I believe, in the other semifinal matchup. So we'll see when and if those happen. We then get Chad Gable defeating Rey Mysterio via pinfall when he reverses a roll-up into one of his own. Actually, I think he turns it into a ankle lock, or maybe not. Maybe it ends in a roll-up. I can't exactly remember. I know it was kind of a trading of reversals towards the end. But I think it was a roll-up, actually, if I remember correctly. But we then go to Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. They are ready for Solo Sikoa's presentation of being back in the bloodline. The Usos and Sikoa come out. The Usos are hyped because they got Solo right where they want him. Reigns says it was about 3 years ago when Reigns beat him on the premiere of Netflix. We go into a package of Solo mocking Reigns and the bloodline for years. Back in the arena, Reigns takes off Solo's sunglasses and stomps them before asking why Sikoa isn't begging for Reigns' forgiveness. Fatu then super kicks and Tonga death grips Sikoa, with Reigns shouting enough to break it up. Reigns says Sikoa needs to lay there for a bit because he has something else to do. He praises the Usos for their success and calls them made men. And if you disrespect them, you disrespect him. The Usos get some very special versions of like the Ula Fala. They have the black peppers or whatever they're supposed to be. It's kind of the Ula Fala, but it's black instead of red. They both get a necklace, each of them. And then Reigns turns his attention back to Sikoa. LA Knight comes in to clear the Usos out, but Reigns and Fatu take him down. Reigns tells Sikoa to finish him, but Sikoa ends up Samoan spiking Roman Reigns instead, and the crowd explodes because of this. Knight and Solo then clear the Usos out of the ring again as Fatu stands back and watches. Reigns is back up and tries to Superman punch, but gets caught with a BFT. Sikoa and Knight fist bump as Fatu again just stands in the corner as the show fades to black. So Jacob is very much playing this character of if Reigns tells him not to do something, he will absolutely stay standing back no matter what. And if he is told to do something, he will do it to the fullest and greatest of his potential. So Jacob, obviously, I think this is going to be a problem coming into next week's show. But he very much just stood back as all this kind of happened towards the end. So we'll see what repercussions Jacob may have next week. But as far as the best match for Raw for me, I would go with Chad Gable and Rey Mysterio. I thought Rey turned back the clock pretty good here, and Gable's on a pretty good run of matches lately. So Definitely check that one out if you can. The 2 Luchador tournament matches were good as well, but I would go with Gable and Mysterio for my best match. We go to NXT from here. The opening recaps the number 1 contenders match. They got interrupted by Zilla Fatu's debut, and he took out both Cruz Montana and Grayson Waller, and making his attention known that it's going towards the NXT Championship. Cruz Montana comes out to open the show. He immediately calls out Zilla before talking about wanting the NXT title. Fatu isn't stopping him, but Rey Fenix comes out instead. He is ready to defend his AAA Cruiserweight title next week. There's a fatal 4-way tonight to see who faces him next week. He's glad to see Cruz here, though. Obviously, old buddies from TNA and AEW. They were in both companies together. Montana says they faced each other before, and the ring is Phoenix's because Montana is going to wait for Fatu in the most dangerous place in the NXT space, and that is the parking lot. We then have that fatal 4-way to determine who Phoenix will face. EK Prosper defeats Tristan Angels, Romeo Moreno, and La Parka when he hits a moonsault on Moreno, and that makes him the number 1 contender, like I said before. After the match, Phoenix was still out there. He might have sat. He didn't do commentary, but I think he sat with the commentary table, and they shake hands and kind of have a bit of a stare down. So they'll face each other next week for the Cruiserweight Championship. We then have the Vanity Project. They offer to take care of the injured Kendall Gray. She has an ear injury. She has like a bandage over her ear. She isn't impressed by the offer. Rin Sinclair didn't think much of them either, and the women leave with their belts. And Micah Lockwood says to prove them wrong. Natty then defeats Thea Hale via submission with the sharpshooter. After the match, Natty and her crew hold Jada Parker back, who was ringside with Thea, while Natty continues to wrench in another sharpshooter on Hale and really lay it into her. We then have Lucian Price. He is going after the Speed title tonight on his own, and Bronco Nima seems okay with that idea. He is unsuccessful, though. Lexus King defeats him via pinfall with the coronation. After the match, Birthright goes after Price, but Bronco obviously comes in and saves his buddy. We then have Grayson Waller for a promo. He has been asking people to stop him, and now we have Zilla Fatu. He's not scared of Fatu or the family because he's from Australia, and he's been fighting Samoans all of his life. Thankfully, Fatu has the ankle monitor off and can run free, but Waller thinks he's the number 1 contender. Despite that, this brings out Tony D'Angelo, who is fine with taking Waller out next. Cruz Montana then comes out. He said he never found Zilla, but he remembers taking Waller out last week. Montana is willing to take out all 3 men, one after the other. But here's Robert Stone to make it official. The NXT title will be defended at Heatwave in a triple threat match, and he'll deal with Zilla Fatu when he gets here. We then have Shiloh Hill and Lizzie Rain. They talk about next week's Cruiserweight title match and think EK Prosper has a good chance. Lizzie Rain isn't happy with Callie Armstrong, but Miles Bourne interrupts. He gets right to the point. If Hill can defeat Jackson Drake tonight, he can get a NXT North American title shot at Heatwave, and Hill certainly approves of this idea. So no matter what, Jackson Drake will get the win or get the title shot if he wins. But this is Bourne saying if you can beat him, you can get the shot as well, because that wasn't ever part of the idea or anything like that. We then have Robert Stone. He talks to Zilla Fatu on the phone. He says, and he'll be there in 30 minutes. With that out of the way, Stone finds Keanu Carver in his office and wants to know in on the NXT title picture. He's willing to earn it, but for now he wants Stone to drink the coffee he made him, and shouts about it until Stone takes a sip of the coffee. Cam Hendricks comes in, and Carver leaves in a huff. We then have Callie Armstrong and Kalani Jordan defeating Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair when Callie hits the Callie connection on Sinclair. We then have Saquon Sugars and Deion Lennox. They have like a split screen sit down interview where they are basically just argue a lot, and we are getting a weaponized steel cage match next week on the episode of NXT before Heatwave. We then have Jackson Drake. He defeats Shiloh Hill via pinfall when Naraku comes out of nowhere, sprays the poison mist in Shiloh Hill's face, and then Drake hits the 450 and earns himself a North American title shot. He also earns his Vanity Project brothers a tag team title shot as well. So we'll see how that goes for Miles at Heatwave. We then have Zarya. She's ready to unify the Speed and North American Women's Championships at Heatwave, but Callie Armstrong comes in. Armstrong calls Zarya a redheaded heifer and gets a match with her next week with a Heatwave title match, becoming a triple threat if Callie is able to defeat her. We then have Robert Stone in the ring. He brings in Zilla Fatu to sign his contract. Fatu greets commentary, and here is Tony D'Angelo to watch from the platform. Fatu is glad to be in the biggest wrestling company in the world. The fans greet him with an Umaga chant, which is obviously Zilla's father. He's here to show that he's not just another Nepo baby. Multiple people have pointed this out online, but I'm pretty sure he said Nympho baby, but he obviously meant Nepo baby, but he's trying to prove that he's not another Nepo baby. Last week, he made some people mad, and that's going to keep happening. Grayson Waller and Cruz Montana then come out, but Stone says the contract makes Fatu's first NXT match a title match, and Heatwave is now officially a fatal four-way, and Fatu signs. So it'll be Fatu versus Montana versus Waller versus the champion Tony D'Angelo. So I think it's probably I would say it's a pretty good chance that Tony D does not walk out the champion. There's also probably a good chance that he doesn't take the pinfall at the same time. So I think it will be smart to put it on maybe Waller, or I don't think you quite go to Cruz Montana yet. I think he eventually wins the championship, obviously, but I think you maybe ride the heel coming out of this. I don't know what they're kind of trying to present Zilla as. I think obviously he came in kind of a heelish way, but he's also we'll see. I'm not sure about him. I would probably go with Waller in this situation, just get it on a heel and have maybe a face Zilla and a face Cruz kind of be the guys that go after him. So I would certainly go with the new champion on this one, booking wise, if it was me. But obviously I don't have the book, and they're going to do whatever they damn well please. But as far as best match for me on NXT, it would be the Fatal 4-Way Cruiserweight number one contender match. Really just a lot of action, a lot of fast pacing and stuff like that. And that's always going to win me over. So, but we'll go from there to NXT. We open with Will Ospreay, Hanare, and Francesco Akira defeating the Don Callis family, represented by Brian Cage, Lance Archer, and Rocky Romero. And Ospreay gets the win, hitting the hidden blade on Rocky. We then have Kazuchika Okada says it doesn't matter who wins the international title at All In, as long as it stays in the Don Callis family. Says if he wins the title, that's perfectly fine. But if he wins, Kyle Fletcher better raise his hand. We then get Kyle Fletcher's side of things. He comes out to the ring, and he comes out to the ring to cut a promo. When asked about what Okada just said, Fletcher isn't sure why we need to move on from the greatest international title reign of all time, being his, of course. He's willing to go along with the plan, but Okada needs to know his role in this. The only thing that matters is that they all hate Konosuke Takeshita because he is a selfish, narcissistic jerk. Takeshita then comes out to interrupt, and they brawl a little bit, with Takeshita easily laying out Fletcher, and Okada doesn't appear to make the save, so maybe some problems with Fletcher and Okada. We then go to earlier today. We get a sit-down interview with Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. Renee Paquette brings up their meeting quite a few years ago in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, with Ospreay saying Omega was a huge star, how honored he was to face Omega way back when. On the other hand, Omega said that he was trying to keep track of the flavors of the month. And while he wasn't blown away at the time, he knew Ospreay had potential. We flash forward to the two meeting at New Japan Wrestle Kingdom, with Omega saying Ospreay is a totally different wrestler. The idea was that Omega was coming back to face the new face of New Japan, but it was also a case of Ospreay not being able to sell tickets without a star like Omega on the card. Ospreay jumps back in and says that Omega was a success off the back of other stars, and talks about how much he had to do in New Japan during the pandemic. He had to wrestle in front of silent crowds and sit in hotel rooms alone, which Omega wouldn't have been able to handle. Omega says they had the same situation here, and would fans have really cheered Ospreay anyways? Then it's on to Forbidden Door 2023, where Ospreay had joined the Don Callis family. Omega talks about how he was screwed over by Don Callis, but Ospreay couldn't learn from him and had to join up too. Ospreay talks about how all of his success was created due to Don Callis, so beating Omega at Forbidden Door didn't mean anything. Omega says that makes him feel like he's beaten Ospreay twice already, but then obviously Renee Paquette brings up the diverticulitis. That sends Omega into a rant as he's tired of hearing about it, as it's made him think more in the ring. What about Ospreay's neck, though? Is he ready for this kind of match? Ospreay talks about how he kept trying to be nice to Omega, but Omega kept leaving for weeks on end. Omega says Ospreay wanted to face an injured version of Omega because it was easier. That sends Ospreay over the edge, because he has to be better than Omega on his own to prove that he is the better man. Omega says Ospreay is going to fail again, and brings up Ospreay's mother, which has Ospreay on his feet. Win, lose, or draw, Omega will respect Ospreay. Omega then brings up Ospreay's son, and that's enough for Ospreay to get really pissed and chase Omega away. So obviously Omega just trying to get in the head of Ospreay. Pretty solid segment. I went on a touch maybe too long, but definitely just tried to build up the drama, and I'll get a little bit more heat on the match between the two of them. We then have Maya World defeat Chris Statlander, Hikaru Shida, and Persephone to retain her TBS championship. She reverses the Saturday Night Fever into a victory roll type cradle. Then of the Brawling Birds, they talk about going after the Divine Dominion on Collision, and they are ready to win the titles in front of a bunch of drunken Brits, which is right where they like to be. John Moxley then defeats Jay White via submission with the Bulldog choke. Mox advances in the Continental Cup. After the match, they tease like they're about to shake hands, but the Dogs come out with a returning Gabe Kidd to take out Jay White. The Conglomeration, Hangman Page, and Brodito run in to make the save. The Demand then come in to say that Page and Brodito can say whatever they want. Page says anyone who wants a trios title shot, come get it at All In. So basically throwing out an open challenge to any trio out there. Willow Nightingale then interrupts Maya World's interview and says she is going to give her a women's world title shot on Collision, and that works for Maya. Jonathan Cruz comes out. He's apparently MJF's Spanish translator. He's also jobber extraordinaire and has been on quite a few episodes getting squashed by people of Collision and Dynamite. He's here to explain that MJF's hatred of Andrade El Idolo isn't a real man, and not even as guapo as Cruz. If Andrade were here, Cruz would beat him in a match. That obviously settles onto a match that we'll have next. We then get the match between the two of them. Andrade quickly defeats him in, I think, maybe 10 seconds. He hits him with the DM. After the match, Andrade rants in Spanish for a little bit, calls out MJF, who answers rather quickly, but on the big screen, where he is shown in a hot tub in Long Island. MJF wasn't about to come to a town like Baltimore, because he is going to beat up Andrew in London like a true world champion. Andrade then beats up Cruz some more to get out his frustrations. We then get another split screen interview. This time it's with Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné. Nightingale says Moné is jealous of the affection that Nightingale has from the fans. Moné rants about Nightingale doing all kinds of things to her and smiling at her. She's taking Nightingale's smile at All In, which is enough for Nightingale to storm off and find Moné and wherever she's sitting in the arena and get into a little bit of a brawl. Security can't break them up until Moné is pulled to the outside of the arena. We then have Swerve Strickland. He says he's intrigued by the trios title being an option at All In. We then have Nigel defeat Hinchicero via submission with a front face lock. This advances Nigel in the Continental Cup tournament. We then get video hyping up Darby Allin versus Kevin Knight for All In their match for the TNT title. Kevin Knight then comes out to cut a promo. He's not in the mood for questions with Tony Schiavone and calls out Darby only to say cut off his music. Knight wants proof that Allin doesn't have any weapons and says, we're not having I'm having a match tonight. The pyro is then set off, and Allin is blinded and burned, it seems. So Knight runs and drags him into the ring, hits him with a coast-to-coast with a chair to make it even worse, and then Allin is taken out on a stretcher. We then go to we come back from commercial, and Darby Allin is taken away on a stretcher when Kevin Knight comes in to gloat. Sting's son, Steven, is teasing going after him as well. He's kind of checking on Darby because obviously Darby was close with his father, so he's checking on his buddy. So we'll see if young Steve Borden gets involved in this going forward. But then we go to our main event. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks defeat the Don Callis family, this time represented by Mark Davis, Jake Doyle, and El Clone, when Omega hits the one-winged angel on Doyle. After the match, the rest of the Don Callis family runs in for a beatdown. Adam Copeland comes in to make the save. Christian eventually comes in, but obviously is a little bit more hesitant. The Bucks accidentally super kick the two of them, allowing the family to get back in and brawl with the four of them to the back. Omega grabs the mic, so here is Will Ospreay to interrupt. Ospreay says Omega has all the charm of a parking ticket and asks what Omega is going to do after bringing up his 7-year-old son. Omega has security get rid of Ospreay, but Ospreay sprints in and the brawl is on. Security gets involved and Omega hits Ospreay with a V-trigger. The one-winged angel off the apron on Ospreay through a table, as it seems like Omega has pretty much gone full heel, seemingly cheating and kind of connivingly getting his way and putting Ospreay down towards the end of the match. So we'll see if he continues to be presented as fully heel, but it seems like he's going dark side a good bit. So. But as far as best match for me on this episode, some good wrestling for sure, but I would go with Jon Moxley and Jay White. I thought they had a pretty good contest between the two of them. Moxley when motivated and when in there with a talent that can really go with him, can have a pretty good match. So I think it went pretty well there. And Jay White's kind of the same way. If he's in there with a guy that kind of go, they can do some special things. So we'll then go from there to Impact. Obviously, this is the last show in the build to Lockdown. We have Order 4 in the ring for a chat. Mustafa Ali rants about everything that Jason Hotch has achieved, because all of those things are due to Ali himself. Even the clothes that Hotch's wife's on Hotch's wife's back. All that matters to Ali is loyalty. So tonight, John Skyler will prove his loyalty facing his former brother, Jason Hotch, but not for the international title. And Skyler does not seem pleased because he didn't seem to know much about this. We then have Hotch in the back. He isn't happy with having to fight someone who was like a brother to him. Daria Ray comes in and basically says, get over it. That's the plan for tonight. So you'll do damn near what we say. So we'll get Hotch and Skyler later on tonight. Rich Swann then defeats Mr. Elegance via pinfall. He was able to reverse Mr. Elegance wind up DDT into a roll up and gets the surprise win. We then have Jada Stone defeat Heather by Elegance via pinfall following the Spark Stunner. Jada then advances to the TV title final against M by Elegance. So we did not get the Elegance final. I thought they may do that based on where they had gotten so far. Jada Stone's a good story. Obviously, earlier this year we went to the Sacrifice show in I think it was Sacrifice, in New Orleans. And she really impressed us on that show. I would probably go with M in the finals if I was Impact, but I just think they can do a little bit more with her. But having a face win the tournament final as well, I could understand. Yeah, I think it could be pretty interesting match. We then have another split screen interview. They're all the rage this week apparently. This one is between Elena Black and Xia Brookside. They'll be facing each other for the Knockouts title at Lockdown. Black says it's just the two of them in the cage at Lockdown, but Brookside isn't impressed with Elena and her attitude. Brookside talks about getting rid of challengers, and that's what she's going to do with Elena on Sunday. The Elegance brand then freak out over their losses tonight, but the personal concierge gives them a pep talk and says M still has a chance to be champion come Sunday. So, obviously Mr. Elegance and Heather both lost back-to-back matches, so a little freak out in the Elegance brand locker room. We then have an lethal lockdown advantage match. Brian Myers is able to defeat Fabian Eichner via pinfall following a couple of low blows, a spear, and a roster cut clothesline. This gives the system team advantage in lethal lockdown. We then have Harley Hudson. She calls Tracy Brooks for some reason, who gives her a pep talk before her match with Alicia Edwards, which basically has her job on the line. We then have Jason Hotch. He defeats John Skyler, but it's via DQ when Agent Zero comes in and attacks Hotch. After the match, Ali comes in to mock Hotch and says he's going to get his championship back when they face each other on Sunday. The Righteous then seem to do some more recruiting. They try to recruit BDE into their ranks. We'll see where that continues to go. Harley Hudson then is able to defeat Alicia Edwards via pinfall when she reverses a move into a quick roll-up. After the match, Alicia jumps her and Eddie gets in as well, but Jada Stone comes in to save Harley Hudson from further attack. We then have a video hyping up Cedric Alexander versus Leon Slater, which will also happen for the X Division title at Lockdown. And then we get our main event, which kind of pits a few separate matches from Lockdown with each other. We have the Hardys, Moose, and Elijah defeat the Nemeths, Frankie Kazarian, and AJ Francis when Jeff hits the Twist of Fate and Swanton on AJ Francis for the win. And then before we get out on Impact, we see Cedric Alexander has been attacked in the back. So last week it was Moose. This week it was Cedric Alexander. So maybe we have a new superstar coming on the scene that is seemingly attacking these superstars. So, but best match for me in Impact was Eichner and Myers. Eichner's always been kind of an underrated favorite of mine. And he continues to do some pretty good work here, bringing some good stuff out of Brian Myers of all people. But definitely check that one out if you want to check something out from Impact. We then go to SmackDown. We open a long recap of what happened between Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes last week, with Rhodes obviously being stopped from crushing Randy's skull in between the steel steps. We then have Sami Zayn. He rants to Nick Aldis about everyone getting put in front of him, including Randy Orton, who pops up behind him. Cody is in the ring and calls Orton out to finish what we started last week. Aldis says no, but Orton comes out to say it's happening at Sunday night's main event. Rhodes says there's nothing stopping them from doing it right now, only for Aldis to say that if either of them goes after each other before their match, they will never get another WWE or another title shot, period, ever again. Orton rants about how he's going to take Cody out, calling him the American Daydream instead of Nightmare, obviously. Rhodes says he'll be the one to take out the last legend, which is Randy, no matter how many world titles he wins. It always comes back to QB1, and he'll be waiting for Orton at Sunday night's main event in his hometown. We then have the MFTs. They want some competition for the tag team titles. Haku then comes in to say, who are the motherfucking Tongans? And yes, he absolutely says the F word and got bleeped out. So maybe that's the new name of the MFTs instead of My Family Tree. So maybe they kind of redoxed it as the motherfucking Tongans, but we'll see if that continues to be a thing. But Haku letting the F word fly there, which was pretty funny. They they then are able to defeat Priest and Truth, Damian Priest and R-Truth, of course, when they hit the Red Cross, aka the high-low, which is, one goes high, one goes low, and kind of sweeps them out. They hit that on Truth. After the match, it seems like Priest is pretty frustrated, but hugs R-Truth. It kind of seems like this is the end of their tag team, kind of their partnership and stuff like that. It seemed like Priest may turn heel at some point in this, but he obviously doesn't. But we'll see if they're done teaming from here on out. So, but when we go to CM Punk, he is ready for KO later tonight. He is dealing with these issues from 20 years ago, even if they're only in his head. Randy Orton comes in to say he's coming for number 15 with CM Punk, says he's looking forward to going in there with Randy at some point. Chelsea Green then comes in to apologize to Tiffany Stratton, who lost her Women's U.S. title last week. They run into Paige, who praises Chelsea for her courage. Fatal Influence then comes in to mock them, and Paige would love to get a shot for the Women's U.S. title. Fatal Influence doesn't seem too overly keen on this idea, so we'll see what these 6 women kind of do going forward. We then have Blake Monroe. She is picking her gear out to make her in-ring debut. She says they don't have anything good in this dump Toronto. Kathy Kelly thinks Monroe will look great in anything, so Monroe takes off her robe and figures the gear that she's already wearing will be fine because she can make anything work. Julia then heads out for her and Blake's match, but Blake attacks her when she's making her entrance, obviously, and beats her down before walking off. So Blake still hasn't made her in-ring debut, but she attacks Julia and beats her down pretty good before walking away. Charlotte and Alexa Bliss are ready to do something when Tatum Paxley comes in. She can't wait to go to brunch with them, but wants to know if she needs to bring her own blood. Jade Cargill and the Baddies come in with Paxley asking for their blood. This results in Paxley versus BFAB being set up for next week, and Paxley being happy that Charlotte had her back, which Charlotte seems to regret. We then have Trick and Lil Yachty come out for a promo. Trick is happy to have Yachty back, but he doesn't have his title back yet. Since Baron Corbin is backstage looking like a cue ball, why don't you come out here for a trick shot? Baron then comes out with Trick saying he wants a title shot right now. Corbin says the title is off getting a trim, so Yachty takes him out with the trick stick, which is a kendo stick, obviously. That's enough for Corbin to agree to a title match at Sunday night's main event. But first, he wants Lil Yachty. If Lil Yachty can last 5 minutes with him, he'll give Trick his title shot. Otherwise, they're done. Yachty actually agrees, and Corbin promises that it will be the longest 5 minutes of Yachty's life. Kevin Owens is interrupted by Finn Balor in the back, who is glad he's back, but could have gone for a little bit of a heads up at SummerSlam. Gunther interrupts as well, saying Owens needs to worry about him if he wins the title tonight. With Gunther gone, Balor hypes up at Owens before he heads out for his match with Punk. We then have Lash Legend defeat Tiffany Stratton via pinfall following some Nia interference and a Lash extension. Post-match, the beatdown is on, but Chelsea Green runs in with a kendo stick to run the Irresistible Forces off. We then get one more hype video for CM Punk versus Kevin Owens, kind of what they've gone through up until this point. We then have Shinsuke Nakamura. He does indeed have a new partner, and it is Kyoki, who was formerly known as Hiromu Takahashi from New Japan. Kyoki wants more fights and madness, and the clock is ticking, obviously saying that they are coming for the tag team titles. And then we get our main event where CM Punk is able to defeat Kevin Owens via pinfall. It's not without controversy, though, as Sami Zayn kind of tried to slide the belt to Kevin Owens. Owens didn't want to use it, so Sami ends up clocking Kevin over the head with the belt, and then Punk follows it with a GTS and retains the championship. After the match, Sami still has the belt, lays both of them out, and screams about justice to end SmackDown. So we'll see if a triple threat is headed our way or what may happen going forward with them. But obviously, I don't think any of these guys are kind of done with each other. But as much as the match was kind of interrupted, kind of had a wonky ending, that match was building towards a pretty good, building pretty well and was doing some good stuff. So Punk and Owens would be my match of the night for SmackDown. And then we will get into Collision to end up the week. Like I said, I'll start next week with the Lockdown pay-per-view. But we open with a Continental Cup match. Kyle O'Reilly defeats Orange Cassidy via submission with the ankle lock. He is able to advance to the semifinals of the Continental Cup by doing so. We then cut to Dynamite from Wednesday. Renee tries to get an interview with Nigel McGuinness. He's being attended to by trainers. He's overwhelmed at winning and in a lot of pain. They said he had some kind of ankle injury. He was supposed to wrestle at the ROH pay-per-view that was Friday, but he had to back out of the match due to the injury. He won't miss the Continental Cup next week, but obviously he's going into the match a little hurt. Will Ospreay comes in, apologizes for interrupting, asked for some ice of his own. Obviously, he had just been attacked by Omega. Ospreay says fair play to Nigel for continuing on. He says the injury looks pretty bad. Nigel says save the congratulations till after Glasgow, which is where Dynamite is next week. Will says, as a kid from Essex watching a Giza from Kent, he's an inspiration for Ospreay, and Nigel paved the way for a lot of British wrestlers to this point. Will has faith that Nigel will win the Continental Cup and the Continental Championship, and he has more faith in Nigel than he has faith in himself. Nigel says the opportunity may never happen again for Will, and he's proud of him. Nigel says Will is the one who can do what no British wrestler has ever done, win a world title in England. He said he tells Will to do it for his granddad, and Will obviously looks pretty emotional when this is said and thanks Nigel for the kind words. We then have the Divine Dominion quickly win a 5-minute challenge against Erica Lee and Tiara James when they hit the Divine Intervention on James. We then get a vignette for Jack Perry. Perry says he respects Swerve Strickland and everything he has to say. Perry says it's taken him years to build back to where he is today. I've got a little Scottish blood in me, so what better place than Glasgow, Scotland? Let's do Swerve Strickland and Jungle Jack Perry for the first time ever, and it'll be kill or be killed. So we'll see what happens with that match. Next week we get a recap of Dynamite where obviously Kevin Knight had the exploding pyro on Darby Allin and then assaults him, obviously. We see Stephen Borden once again, and obviously Knight talks some shit, says a little quip about where the big boys play to Stephen, obviously calling back to his father's time in WCW. And then is it announced that Darby has suffered some burns, but will make it to All In despite these injuries. We then have Claudio Castagnoli defeat Daniel Garcia via submission with the sharpshooter. This advances Claudio into the semifinals of the Continental Cup. And once we come back for commercial, it is announced that the semifinal matchups will be the two Death Riders guys going at each other, Claudio and John Moxley. And then the other semifinal will be Kyle O'Reilly, which is versus Nigel McGuinness. So probably not a good matchup for old Nigel based on where his injury is. So we'll see what happens when we get there. We then get a video package on the dogs. And Finley talks to the camera. Gabe Kidd cuts him off and tells him to shut up. Kidd says, what is the shit they've been doing lately? This isn't who we are. We are killers. And then he talks about the open challenge that Rodito and Hangman threw out for the trios titles at Wembley. And the dogs say that they will try their hand at winning the trios titles back. We then have Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, and Lee Moriarty defeat Ryan O'Neal, Nick Nolan, and Matt Mako when Moriarty makes Mako pass out in the Border City stretch. Shane Taylor, after the match, grabs the microphone and calls out all these Pennsylvania hicks that are in front of them. Greatness looks like Lee Moriarty, holding the ROH Pure title for over 2 years. Greatness is also great. Shane Taylor Promotions. becoming the greatest trios champions of all time. So they issue an open challenge of their own. The arena goes dark, and the Bang Bang Gang emerges, and it will be Jay White and the Guns taking on Shane Taylor and the Infantry. The Bang Bang Gang gets the win when Jay White hits the Blade Runner on Carly Bravo. Switchblade then grabs the mic after the match. He admits his match against Jon Moxley on Wednesday night did not go the way that he wanted it. He admits that it was silly for him to tell the Bang Bang Gang to take the week off based on the Continental Classic rules. White calls out Bandito, Brody King, and Hangman. White appreciates the assist, but he and the Guns never lost the trios titles, and they were never beaten going into All In 2024. Jay White then declares the Bang Bang Gang for whatever the hell the trios championship match is going to be at All In London. So I'm guessing at this point it's going to be like a gauntlet match because, I mean, obviously there's a lot of teams involved. The Dogs have already answered. The Bang Bang Gang has answered. So you got to think the Demand's going to be somewhat involved. Swerve and his crew, whoever he may bring in, could be part of it. So we'll see what that kind of ends up being. We then have Lexi Nair. She is backstage with the conglomeration, including Willow Nightingale's there with them as well. Kyle O'Reilly is still selling as Lexi asks him about facing Nigel McGuinness. Kyle says he drew his two best friends in the first two rounds. Nigel is one of the only one who stands in front of Kyle getting his way to Wembley. Willow goes over her history and at All In. She watched from home. She's on the pre-show and being in a gauntlet match. While Willow is friends with Maya World, Willow is going to walk into Wembley as the world champion and walk out after defeating Mercedes the same. We then have a vignette recapping the history between Kenny and Will Ospreay, obviously. Tommaso Ciampa and Nick Wayne then defeat Mike Bailey and Commander when Wayne hits the Protoplex on Commander. Ciampa then shoves Nick Wayne after the match, but gives him a golf clap to the young prodigy that is Nick Wayne. We then get a video package for All In International title match. Okada, Kyle Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita. It's going to be a triple threat, obviously, at Wembley. Kind of shows the history between the three guys and all they've been through. We then go backstage to the Death Riders. Daniel Garcia is pissed off about the drawing, putting Claudio and Moxley against each other. Moxley eventually tells Wheeler Yuta to shut up. Claudio asks, who does the drawing suck for? Wheeler obviously implying that they want to face each other. They want to prove that they're each the best and stuff like that. Wheeler Yuta then asks Danny how the ankle is, and Garcia says that it sucks. And then we have Willow Nightingale defeat Maya World via pinfall following a backslide. So Willow Nightingale's new finishing move has become the backslide. She can't hit the babe with the power bomb anymore. But as far as best match for me in Collision, I would go with Claudio and Garcia. They had a really good match. Obviously, two Death Riders going after each other. It seems like Garcia's maybe trying to. I know he's the newest member of all of them, but it seems like he may be trying to break away a little bit, and obviously have some problems with where he's kind of positioned within the group. But yeah, another solid show. And we'll see how the rest of the Continental Cup goes. Obviously, the finals is at Wembley. It's pretty evident that it's going to be Mox and Nigel, but they could also pull a swerve. Obviously, Nigel has the injury, so we'll see if maybe they go with Kyle and Mox, who have faced each other in the past, have had some really good matches. So we'll see how that goes. But I would say Nigel and Mox is pretty much a lock. But another solid week of wrestling. Like I said, next week I'll definitely at least cover Lockdown. We'll see if I can throw Heat Wave in there. I definitely won't get All In next week. I know it starts early, but it's still going to be a 6-hour show, even if it starts at noon or whatever. So may sneak Heat Wave in there. May just not force myself to do that. Just cover both for next week, but definitely we'll cover Lockdown without a doubt. So thank you for joining me as always, and we'll see you next time.
Look in my eyes, what do you see?
the cult of personality. I know your anger, I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. Like Mussolini and Kennedy, I'm the cult of personality. The cult of personality. The cult of personality. Neon lights, Nobel Prize. When a mirror speaks, the reflection lies. You won't have to follow me. Only you can set me free. I said all the things you need to be. I'm the smiling face on your TV. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. I exploit you, still you love me. I tell you 1 and 1 makes 3. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. Like Joseph Stalin and Gandhi. Oh, I'm the cult of personality.